an extra 8 pages added, and I said I hated it even more than I did the original ending because some of the added content just was not good. It gave way more question marks and basically made it to where Eren's entire journey throughout the story was pretty much for nothing. It was worthless, and everything that the story amounted to basically was pointless. That is pretty much how I felt about the conclusion of the manga a few years back when the final chapter and its extra pages came out. So, obviously, it's been a long time since that happened, and I've had a long time to really sit on my feelings, my thoughts of Attack on Titan, my journey throughout the anime, my journey of watching these final episodes, or the final chapters as, Crunchyroll calls them on this site. I've had a long time to really think about it, and think about how I truly felt about the conclusion, the ending, and up to this very moment, or up to this, day, when, before I watched this episode, my thoughts still remained very firm. For instance, I truly believed that, I didn't like Attack on Titan's ending. And so I went into this episode pretty much knowing that it would be all downhill around this part of the episode. I knew that, I was going to start not really liking the content and the way the story was going to evolve because of just certain events that happened. And so, I had already some bias against the ending in this episode. But, regardless of that, I do also want to make a disclaimer that before I even began, okay, I also wanted to respect the legacy. And I even made this very clear in the video I made a week ago when the final trailer came out. I made it very clear that even if, let's say, I came to hate the ending of the anime of Attack on Titan, that I would respect the legacy of what Attack on Titan has done for the anime industry and the manga industry. It's been very impactful. It has shaped so many new anime and manga, light novels. It will have an impact for the foreseeable future, and regardless of just meme culture, it will be discussed, analyzed, and broken apart for decades. It is going to be something that is going to be looked back upon 10 to 20 years from now, and people are going to discuss this series, ripping it apart, and even talking about the ending, saying it was a good ending, saying it's a bad ending, it was a neutral ending, whatever. There's going to be a lot of videos, a lot of discussion around it, which just goes to show that it really is a legendary series that is, or has made it with my reviews on the manga's ending. Can probably say that's very high praise. That is very high praise. Even started this. I had some bias towards it. I left this episode happier than how I left the manga. And
okay. Why?
Legitimately good final episode. With I would bump it up from how I had a 4 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10 to probably a 7 or even an 8. It was a legitimately good final episode. Definitely hard carried by the staff and the voice acting and all that worked on this episode, but legit, even the story elements, even some of the flaws I have with the story, was enhanced and more understandable, digestible, and changed a little bit to make it more acceptable for the audience that watched this. And so let's give a good part here. This scene is very iconic, and let's get into this, since I've had it on the screen already for a while. This scene is iconic because Eren breaks down and is basically, I don't want her to find someone, I don't want her, and all that, I don't want her to do that. And this entire scene is Eren showing weakness at the final moments of, I don't want to die, which is understandable, but he's I don't want to die, I don't want, Mikasa to move on, I want her to love me, I, want to love her, I want her to be with me. He's just saying all these feelings, and it comes out of, left field. It's a huge whiplash, and even in the anime, it is an incredible whiplash of emotions, because the entire theme of this episode is just Eren is this unstoppable force that is giving his friends a chance, but overall it's just he's going to conclude his job. He is going to kill off humanity. He is going to 100% wipe out the opposing force, because that is the only way to save his friends, to save Paradise Island. That was his objective. At least
perhaps
before
I
we got
judged
to
you
the
too
scene, we
harshly.
found out a little bit more about it and how you
Perhaps I judged you guys too harshly.
be stopped, etc. The point of the matter is that everything up to this very moment, these final moments of, the series, you were under the impression that Eren was just this stone-cold person that was just driven. He has to move.
No, we were never under that impression, Chibi. We were never under that impression. Never. I wasn't. Were you guys under that impression that he was a stone-cold monster? I was never under that impression. I never thought that. For 1 second did I ever think that. He made it clear. This whole episode, did y'all forget this episode? Bro made it clear. He went out of his way to save a kid who he knew for a fact that in the future he was going to murder him. He knew it. He said, why the fuck am I saving this nigga? I'm going to kill him anyway. So what the fuck? But he still got on his knees and cried his eyes out at the fact that that's what he was going to do. So how can you possibly say that he was always... Oh my God, my camera. How can you possibly say that he was always like that when clearly he was not? Hold on 1 second. How can you possibly say that when it's clear that he was not? When it's clear, the story wrote, Isayama wrote a whole chapter. Isayama wrote a whole fucking chapter. So no, we never thought that.
Move forward, driven by conviction, and he needed to finish his job. Okay. And so when you get to this scene, and the reason why a lot of people dislike the scene is because it is a whiplash. It is a straight whiplash of emotions, and even if this goes into how Eren's character was a few seasons back, the thing is that this is an Eren that's been hardened by so many deaths. So many people has died, and he has chosen to let die, that it also comes off very like, why are you doing this? Why are you crying or being emotional at this moment?
No, it's not why are you crying. It's not why are you being emotional. It is the reason why. Even if he wasn't crying, the reason is the problem. What he's saying is the problem. The dialogue is the problem. He's whining like a little baby. He's...
Why can't I don't want Mikasa. I don't want that. No, I don't want it.
That's not what he's never done that. It's not him. It's just not him. It's not that he's not that guy. He's not that guy. This is not that. This is not that. This is different. And the same goes for every other time he cries. You can't name one other time the man cries in the whole story where he does this.
After everything you have done. And I'll talk about that in a second. But the point is I'm trying to get into the psyche of why people dislike this scene. It is a huge whiplash. And it comes off like, why? Why all of a sudden is Eren breaking as a character after he's just done so many atrocities? I mean, at this point in time, basically, he's killed so many millions of people by trampling them with the rumbling. So it's just like, everything considered, it's like, holy crap, man. Like, this is not the time to be breaking down crying when you've already set in motion your entire plan and already given up at this point to even changing anything. So it's just like, why? Why do this? But anyways, enough with that. The point of the matter is that this scene in particular, I didn't always have a huge issue with it. Like, I had problems with him not wanting Mikasa to move on. It was very selfish, yes, especially for a man, you know, that's very selfless and kind of putting his life on the line and willing to die to, you know, unite Paradise and, you know, save everyone, all of his friends and family. You know, he's a very selfless person, technically, all things considered up to this point. So it was a very, like, out of field things. Like, he's actually...
It's a plot hole. It's literally a plot hole. It's an objective plot hole, and I can prove it one more time. I got one more scene to prove that this is a plot hole real quick. Hopefully somebody uploaded this somewhere. Please, 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 please. Yeah, there we go.
The first Titan, Ymir, died that long after getting her powers. Since none can surpass her, we have to do the same. So I have 13 years to live. And you? I've only got 8 left. Not even.
No. You're wrong. There's been a mistake.
Oh no.
It can't be true.
If
Anyway.
someone with the...
He realized right here in this goddamn moment that he's going to die. Where is where? Where is the where? Where? Where is it? He knew he was gonna die already. He's been living for 8 years since now. He knew. He knew. He already knew he was gonna die. He already knew it was impossible for him and Mikasa to be together. So where? Where? Mikasa was literally right next to him. He didn't say shit. He didn't even think about it. The most he got was a glance that she couldn't see. And he was like, well, shit. Anyways, back to what I was talking about. How could you possibly defend this? It's a plot hole. It doesn't make sense. He never showed emotion like this towards this woman in any situation throughout the entire story, even when he was about to die, and he knew it.
Acting very selfish, so to speak.
This is what I'm talking about recency. This is literally recency bias. This is recency bias. This is recency bias. He ain't watched this shit in so long. You forget the story, man. Who was the last time you think these guys really watched season 1 or season 3, season 2? When?
You know, just like, oh, I want Mikasa to basically never forget about me after my death. It's just like, bro, what the hell? But anyways, this is not the scene that I
Can't we just say that Eren came to like Mikasa recently during the time skip? When during the time skip? They weren't even hanging out. He wasn't even talking to the bitch. He was in Marley. When during the time skip? And that 1 year where they were in parody? He didn't seem like it.
legitimately had most problems with. The scene I had with after this is when he starts talking to Armin, and he starts saying that, you know, like, oh, I don't want to leave Mikasa or any of you and all that. And this anime episode starts talking about how Eren and Armin are going to go to hell. Like, they are legitimately, they will go to hell together. For instance, when Eren dies, he's probably going to a bad place, and Armin will probably follow him into that abyss, because they both have killed countless people. Technically, in the way this anime episode explains it, is that Armin set Eren on this path. Even if Eren kind of made a lot of decisions on his own to get the Titans, the Founding Titan, etc., Armin still tries to take responsibility, which is a huge improvement to his character, showcasing.
That is true. That is true. That is like one addition that was actually good until you think about it for 5 seconds. How did Armin have anything to do with what Eren did? What did Armin do to make Eren make these choices? Eren made all these choices independently. He left and started planning with Yelena and Flock without telling Armin. He went to Marley with the intent of getting to know them and then attacking them if they declared war, which he did not tell Armin. Then after he went back, he didn't tell Armin about his plan with Zeke and what he really wanted to do. And then after that, he locked Armin up in a jail cell. So how is Armin to be blamed for anything that Eren did here? I appreciate Armin saying that, but it's not true. He helped against the Marley soldiers. Yeah, that's true. But what choice did he have? To die? He should. His moral compass, he should just die. But again, and on top of that, he didn't know what Eren was gonna do. He didn't know Eren was gonna fully rumble. He thought Eren was gonna do a small rumbling, right? So again, Armin ever like pushed Eren to do any of this. The most you could ever say is when he called him a piece of shit after he beat his ass. That's like the only time, but even then I wouldn't even argue.
Casing that, you know, he is taking responsibility of everything after, you know, Erwin died and all that, and he's like, yeah, you know, I have obviously condemned a lot of people to death as well. I'm just as responsible for the rumbling as you are, Eren, and so we'll both go to hell together. And organically speaking, this episode conveys that very well. And now you're probably wondering, why do I have a problem with this? Well, let's show you the manga. So the manga equivalent of this, and this is the chapter, okay? This is legit the chapter of the manga, Brain Cell Power, to understand what is wrong with this dialogue. It's like, for one, Armin is pawning off all the responsibility and everything, all the weight.
This is an improvement. This is an improvement, but this is an improvement, but this is more accurate. This is more accurate. It just is. It's more accurate. Even though he should never say thank you, even though this is trash, he should never say thank you. This is more accurate. It's more accurate. It's not the same. It's not the same. Eren did something separate from him. Eren and what Eren wanted to do was separate what from Armin wanted to do. So how the fuck could Armin blame himself for that? How? He's basically still saying thank you. Yeah, in so many words. So in the anime, Armin is saying we share the blame. It's both of us. It's both of us who did this. It's our fault, that this happened. But no, it's not. It's Eren's fault that this happened. What Armin is saying is, I appreciate that you did this for us, and I won't let what you've done be meaningless. I won't let this mistake be meaningless. That's what Armin is saying. I disagree with the fact that Armin would even apologize for it, but I don't disagree with the fact that Armin has nothing to do with it. That's just the truth. That's just the truth. It's because he gave him ideas of the outside world, because he showed him his book. So he's saying, I'm sorry that I showed you my book. Even that's stupid. Even if that's true, that's stupid. He couldn't have possibly known that he destroyed the whole world because he showed him a damn book. So even that's stupid. Because he attacked the port with Eren. It doesn't matter. He never, from Armin's POV, he never did anything that would create the rumbling. Killing people, yes, and that's hypocritical on Armin's part for sure. Armin is still hypocritical. Don't get me wrong. But from his point of view, he never wanted this to happen, and he never did anything to help this happen. He started for giving Eren the ideology of becoming a monster to beat it. To beat what? Letting Eren escape does make it happen. Letting Eren escape what? It only makes it happen if he knew that's what Eren was going to do, but he never knew that Eren was going to do that up until he actually did it. He didn't believe it. Armin literally said, "What's going on? He doesn't need this many Titans." He was in denial. You could call it denial, whatever. But as far as we know from Armin's character, he never once believed that Eren was going to do a full rumbling. He didn't never think that. He told Eren to throw away his humanity. That sort of counts if you're stressed, but I don't bite it. Yeah, I don't think that's what they're saying here, because they would give more examples of him saying, they would flashback to that or something. That's so far in the future, in the past, that these niggas probably not even thinking about that. But yeah, if he's saying, I'm sorry that I told you to throw away humanity, you did that and this is what happened, then yeah, that would make sense. But I don't think that's what it is. I don't think that's what it is. He did those things when he left the cell. He did what when he left the cell? Yeah, that's a stretch, yeah. Why not? Because it's so detached. It's so detached from the story and this character, where to the point where I can't even it's the story and the characters have not been self realization. They don't have enough self-realization to come to a conclusion like that. That's what I'm saying. I'll accept that if you want to say it, but I don't think that makes sense. I don't think that happened. He probably forgot. The writers probably forgot. So they want to comfort Eren during that last. Yeah, if he just wants to comfort him, so you're saying he's lying then. So if you're saying he's lying, then that's something else. I'm going under the context that he's telling the truth.
and burden of the world over to Eren. That's literally how it feels, how it is conveyed to the audience, that he's throwing all the deaths and everything onto Eren.
No, I'm not overthinking it at all. I admit it seems better, but it doesn't make sense still.
This is how the manga was. This was the actual final chapter of the manga of Attack on Titan. And so this stung a lot of people. It stung a lot of people. It's like, why would Armin be like, oh, thank you for killing so many people for our sakes? It felt like, whoa. Once again, another whiplash of just emotions and just, like, trying to convey Armin as a character. It's just like, he wasn't really trying to take responsibility, and on the top of that, it was just like, oh, you know, I'm fine with people dying. It's just like, bro, what? It was really messed up. It was a legitimately messed up sequence here, with all things considered, when you factor in everything with Armin's character, and, you know, Eren's character, and Erwin, and all that, and just what Armin's been doing. It's just, it felt very out of place. So, when you see this happen in the anime, they obviously don't have that line. Like, you watch the scene again for yourself. They do not have this. And this is a meme scene as well. People have memed the hell out of these panels because of this. But it is not in the anime. So they completely cut that, changed it into basically Armin accepting that he will go to hell too with Eren. And so it comes off more organically. So they fixed a huge issue that a lot of people had with Armin and Eren's character with this little exchange. It's a huge improvement that definitely made the episode a lot more enjoyable to me. And once again, I went into this episode very, very biased to a degree. I'm not even going to lie. I'm not even going to try to sugarcoat it. So the fact that I think that it's much better, it won me over. But there's other scenes. The final sequence is another contender I complained about in the manga. When I was reviewing the mangas, you know, the final chapter and all that, you know, we saw at the end, and here I'll show you. Basically, if you come down here and you look, the final moments of the manga, you see, like, the flash forward where you see, you know, an old Mikasa and whoever she married with kids, etc. And it's very clear it's John. It's very obvious it's John. And you see the kid and all that, and visiting Eren's grave, and you see construction being done to Paradise Island. You know, the place is doing a lot better, and as you can see, time passes a little bit, and the buildings, they get blown up, and then you see destruction. And basically, it's like, oh, so it just, oh, in probably like 20 years, 10 years, they rebuilt.
How could you possibly, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand, how could you possibly think that this is 10, 20 years? Bro, do you see the buildings? They changed everything. It was never 10, 20 years. I knew this was the distant future when I first saw it. It is, I mean, it's clear as day that this was never like right after. Like, it was years later, at least hundreds of years later, like 200 years at least, to rebuild all of this. It was a long time away. It was a long time away. That's not the problem.
And they came back and killed all of Paradise. It's like, really? So it pretty much made everything just like...
It was not 50 years of progress, bro. Did you not see how much they built in 50 years of Mikasa's lifetime?
And should have finished everyone off. Flock was right as well, and it's just
But
like...
yeah, the anime definitely makes sure that you know, like, nigga, it's a long time. We have spaceships.
Like, they really
They basically have fucking spaceships. They
ending,
wanted to make sure you niggas knew.
That was the point that was being made here. It just, you know, our characters all died, and Eren, you know, basically backed out and cried out and didn't finish the job. This was the original conclusion of the manga, as you can see here. So let's shift over to the anime. You look to the anime here, I'm going to just let you see it. You can easily see with the final sequence of events here that you can see the weapons and stuff being used, but the buildings are way more futuristic. It is 100% more futuristic, and you see the skyscrapers being built with these credit scenes. It basically showcases that a lot more time passed in comparison to the manga. In the manga, these look like typical skyscrapers that you'd see in like year 2000, 2001, 2005. You know, this is not necessarily something that is futuristic. It looks like modern day where we're currently at. And technically, Attack on Titan, if we had to consider where its story was taking place, was probably in the 1930s, 1940s. So it is obviously still a gap. But it's like, really, we knew there was a lot of advancement in the world outside of Paradise Island. So it's like, all things considered, their technology was already pretty advanced. So it's like, when you look at this, it's like, it doesn't come off right. It feels like maybe they only rebuilt for maybe 10 to 20 years and that was it. But when you look at, you know, the anime, it's very clear, like 100 or even more so years past, until they came back. And the conflict that happens here probably isn't even completely affiliated with, like, Ymir and the Titans. It's just affiliated with probably, you know, other reasons corrected that as a writer at the end here. And let me explain. The problem here is that Isayama turned the story about war and hatred and all of that into a love story. And it wasn't properly conveyed. Like, majority of the series, anyone that really takes a hard look at Attack on Titan, okay, let's just look at the entirety, the grand span of the anime and the manga. The story is about, at first, you know, humans trying to discover the world outside the walls. Who are these Titans? Who sent them? What are they, etc., and trying to make it to the beach, make it to the sea, so to speak. And then they find out that there's humans across the ocean that are sending Titans and stuff over to them, trying to kill them, eradicate them, and it's just basically bad blood between two factions for a very long time, and technically no side truly knew the original origin point or history of how it really all started. They had their own history, so to speak, of what really happened, and they were always back and forth, and just this bad blood could not be settled, and they were killing each other. One side had to be eliminated, which is what led to the rumbling and why Eren was like, one side's got to go. It's either our side or their side. And Flock as well, that was, you know, chastised multiple times throughout the story, technically was right in the end. Because if they would have finished the opposing side, Paradise wouldn't have died at the end credits. Just gonna say. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that the story has always been about the cycle of hatred and just, you know, bad blood and how, you know, there will never be truly an end to conflict. But Isayama decided to change the story's main message to love and romance. Like, the whole thing here at the ending sequence is Mikasa loving Eren. Eren never really got to say to her that he loves her. It was like love that just never was fulfilled between the two. But there was a mutual understanding, a bond there. But basically, Eren never said, I love you to Mikasa. Mikasa never really said it to him. And that's basically it. And the whole reason why, you know, Mikasa was even destined to be alive, so to speak, was for her to bring down Eren. Like, that was the whole role, that Ymir guided Mikasa to take down Eren, and it turned into, like, a love story, so to speak. Like, the way the message is conveyed here is that it's a love story, that, you know, Mikasa will be the one to end the suffering, to end the line and pain of, like, the Titans, etc., take down Eren, take down her lover, and all that, and just put an end to it all. And it's just like, it comes off kind of weird. So they retcon this. And as you can see here, this is basically King Fritz, and we get to actually see what really happened here. That King Fritz got stabbed by the spear. And let me get everybody up to speed for everybody remembers this, okay? So basically, what's going on with this brief little scene that happens here with Ymir and Mikasa kind of having a conversation is that King Fritz never was alive. Technically, Ymir didn't take that spear and die for him. King Fritz died. And Ymir was with her children. And what makes this a really bad sequence is because it's not confirmation if this is what Ymir wanted. Like, for instance, if this is a what if, like, you know, what could have happened if Ymir would have stepped away and allowed King Fritz to die. Or if, like, you know, Ymir didn't actually die. And it's very complicated because what this scene does is it muddies the waters of, like, okay, if this actually happened, and this is legit, okay, let's just say this is the true history of what happened to King Fritz and Ymir did not die to the spear, that means the whole elements of, like, the 13 years of, like, you know, Titans, for instance, like, you know, the reason why there's a time limit on Titans and they can only live for a certain amount of time is because Ymir died after that long when she had the Titan. She died, and then it passed on to her descendants.
So then this
and
can't
then
be
also
real.
the reason why her, you know, the children even got Titan shifting powers is because they ate their mother.
Right,
The
so
whole
this can't be
horrific
real.
scene that was in the manga and was kind of censored in the anime,
7 days.
but they ate their own mother because King Fritz forced his children, and, you know, Ymir's children, to eat her, to be able to pass on the genes of the Titan shifting powers. And that's kind of what led to the legacy and the cycles
What
of
is he
Attack
trying
on
to say
Titan to
here?
be like it is throughout the entire story. So, if this is legit accurate, and King Fritz actually did die, and Ymir somehow lived, it's like, how did all the other stuff happen? What happened
It
here?
didn't.
So, yes, I know this is probably a message saying that this is what, Ymir probably wanted, that she wanted this to happen.
That she had done.
But the problem is, it's not properly conveyed. Not even
No.
the anime properly conveys this,
No.
and that is a huge flaw.
Yes.
Because it's left up in the air if this is the true history or not.
It's not.
Which does kind of play with the themes of Attack on Titan, that, you never know really what...
No, it's impossible for this to have been the true history. It's literally impossible. Because if it was the true history, then that means she just died the same day of natural causes. You understand that, right? This is the day she died. This is how this is 13 years since she got the Titan power. This is how the 13-year curse became a thing, because she died today. So she'd have to have died today, some other way, of some other something else made her die, and then someone else made the children eat her. That's not what happened. It's just what she wished. It's literally cannot be happen. It literally cannot happen. It's just what she, I guess, wished she should have done instead of taking the spear. So the Ymir's story is basically, she shouldn't have loved this nigga. She should have let him die, which is fine. That's the truth. She shouldn't have, because he's a piece of shit. She should have loved her children and stayed alive for them. That's a fact. But how does that relate to anything that's going on here? Are you trying to say that she should have done what Mikasa did? So you're saying Eren's like this nigga? You're saying Eren is like the nigga that raped a little slave girl?
Happened, but it's still very bad, especially for the final chapter. Now, another problem here is I never really dived into this one too much, even in my manga reviews for the ending. But another problem is that even if hypothetically we're wanting to believe that this is fake or whatever, the problem is that Ymir's love for King Fritz makes legit no sense. And okay, we know that they had years together, and there probably was like a lot of honeymoon moments, just beautiful moments between the two most likely. But it is conveyed very toxically, and just, like, it's not a good relationship. Like, Ymir has Stockholm Syndrome. That's literally what is conveyed here. That the reason why she died for him was because of Stockholm Syndrome. She was basically his slave, and that's it. And she had children with him. That's it. And so she never really loved him. She was just basically just Stockholm to just do that type of stuff. And we never get to see King Fritz's actual, like, personality. Like, all we know is that he's this very cruel ruler, so to speak, and he was very cruel to Ymir, cutting off her tongue and all that, just doing horrific stuff, so to speak, to her. We never got to see maybe his good side. And I feel like Isayama really dropped the ball there, is that if we would have gotten the good side, even some elements, even a panel, it would have humanized him even a little bit to allow us to understand why Ymir would even want to protect such a scumbag after doing what he has done and what he did to her very bloodline, her children, etc. It's really messed up, especially since we know she's been around for like 2,000 years. Seeing her children just killing each other, it's just like, what the hell? Like, yeah, she's a broken person, but it's like, it's really messed up, especially if her entire objective was to get Mikasa to the origin point to kill Eren. It just is like, it's clear that she had a mind and she knew the problem, but it's like, why just not end the problem herself when she clearly had the power to do so?
Yeah. If you're aware of the problem, why do you, what is Ymir doing?
And why was she working with Eren? It just, there's a lot of things that become very complicated if, it's just Stockholm Syndrome or love or whatever. So I wish Isayama would have given more details.
He didn't have any more details to give because it's trash, man.
I think that it's legitimately such a sad moment, because Historia was a very powerful female character that became a ruler. She had a birthright, etc. She was up there side by side with Eren, and obviously Eren's motivation was to kind of keep her out of this and all that, but she was really sidelined. There was, at the time when this was coming out in the manga, and even I saw anime discussion of it, there was a lot of discussion that maybe this child here that Historia had was Eren's child. There was a lot of speculation, but there's this random no-name guy that she's with that doesn't really ever get any information, we don't get information about, that she has a child with, and obviously she's trying to have a happy life, but it's just, Historia was a completely dropped plotline. Like, her character was just completely dropped and not really ever used ever again, really, after she became, who she really was. So it's just, like, sad how her character was done here, because she never really got anything else to her character. Nobody he ended up alone. And I'm not a
didn't read it
shipper
yet,
by any
Steph.
means, and I'll get more into that in a second. But it's very pathetic, and it comes off just very sad that this is the last time we'll ever see Reiner in the anime, him just resorting to sniffing Historia's letter. So basically, it's very important to talk about, and kind of the message behind it and what it means to the story. Eren's entire objective is for Mikasa not to move on. Like, we saw him break down, it's like, no, I don't want that, I don't want her to move on, I don't want her to forget about me, I don't want her to get with anyone. And in a way, Eren wins. She never does move on. She never moves on, and she continuously comes to his grave, has his scarf on, she's buried with his scarf, she delivers flowers to him, and
she had a whole bunch of other kids, generational.
Even buries herself next to him. And so
but we don't know that. Even I don't know if that's true. If she buried herself next to him, that's wild if she did that. But I don't think she did. I think she just died with the scarf on.
It's clear that
but
she
that is
never
also
moves
wild too.
on. But the thing is, FYI, we know she gets with someone. Even in the anime, it shows it. But let me show you the scene. So basically, at the end here, you literally see her with a kid, and it's very clear this is John. And she comes here to constantly just, be beside Eren's grave, visit him, etc., with family, friends, whatever. And the reason why I think that this is really bad is not that she's visiting him, but the reason why she's visiting him is because she never moves on. She's buried with his scarf, and that's the significance here, is that the fact that she still has the scarf on showcases that she still loves him. That's the whole point of the scarf. And so, the fact that she has the scarf on, while visiting his grave with John next to her and her kid, John is continuously reminded that the only reason why she is with Mikasa, like, why he's with her, is because he won, because he lived. Like, she never would have chose him. She never would have been with him. She would have been with Eren. But the only reason why, she is with him is because he didn't die and Eren did as well, and she never moved on.
Basically, he said everything is trash he basically said that everything's trash, so how's it 8 out of 10? I don't get it. It's all the same shit.
Magical experience, and I wonder how they're going to feel about that. But, love it or hate it, Attack on Titan has shaped the industry, and I'm going to miss it. I'm legit going to miss this. I'm going to miss this show. There's a lot of good moments sprinkled in, like the Levi stuff and all that, because he's basically the old guard. And I go more into details in some of these other scenes, all that. You can watch my manga review videos to talk about it. Like, I talk about some positive aspects of the final chapter as well. But yeah, this is a good episode. And the passion, effort, and love and detail.
It's a good adaptation, but the writing's trash. And most of everything he said he never even said, like, why it's good now. He just said, like, well, yeah, the only one he said why it's good now was the Armin one. But he never said why anything else was why it's good now. He just was yapping, really. Like I said, he still think it's ass, even if he said he gave it an 8. Most of the shit he said was still ass. I don't know.